everyone. Welcome to today's Pet Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Roberta Westbrook, and you're here with us at the Campus for All Animals, the SPCA, and we have a new room for you today. We are in our small mammals adoptable pets room, and that is because today we want to talk to you all about the different types of pets that we have available for adoption and what you may want to consider if you'd like to adopt a small mammal into your home. So until then, I do want to introduce you to our pet of the week this week, which is a small, is Jessie. Jessie is one of our rabbits here that's available for adoption. Jessie is a lop-eared rabbit, meaning her ears are kind of lop-eared and flopping over. It makes for a really cute pet. Jessie came to us with an interesting story. She actually had a severe injury to one of her eyes, and that injury, unfortunately, was irreparable, and she had to have her eye removed. But Jessie is doing wonderfully, and she's fully recovered, and she's ready to move on to her home. So please come on down and meet Jessie. She's very sweet, and she would make a wonderful family pet. So today, again, we're here in our small mammals adoptable pet room. And if you have questions about taking in maybe a small mammal or exotic companion animal that's different from a dog or a cat, we can help you do that. And we can give you some counseling to make sure that it's a successful match. So what can I help you with your questions?
All right, so what benefits are there to adopting a small mammal versus like a large dog per se?
You know, one of the main benefits to adopting a small mammal is time. So small mammals do take time. You want to be able to spend time with them, to bond with them. They have personalities. You can get to know their personality, and they want to get to know your routine. So it can be very rewarding relationship. But in terms of time, you know, oftentimes when you have a dog, it may require that you take your dog out for walks multiple times a day, and spend lots of time even taking them to the veterinary hospital for routine checkups. But many times small mammals don't require as much time outside of the home. So spending quality time with them inside the home is often enough. And that means less trips to the veterinarian unless your small mammal is sick. And that means not having to maybe go on walks when the weather is too cold or too hot, or you just want to have a lazy day.
Of course, like not as much time, but they still need some type of interaction, you know. So there's a misconception that if we have a rabbit, we'll just leave him in a cage forever, right?
Right. No, like I said, they have personalities, and you want to get to know their personality, and you want them to get to know you. And so spending quality time with them can be very rewarding, and you can establish a really special bond with your small mammal. I had a rabbit when I was first in veterinary school named Fuzzy, and Fuzzy became really one of my best friends, and it was a great time. And so they do still require some time to develop a relationship, and that can be a wonderful experience.
And here at the Houston SPCA, obviously we have cats, dogs, and all types of rabbits, but we also have different types of small mammals. How do we know which to adopt, like a hamster, a guinea pig, or a rabbit? Is there any difference that we should consider when choosing a small mammal?
Sure. If you're interested in adopting a small mammal, one thing you should do is just do some research individually and understand the needs for each of the different species. So things that you want to consider, for example, is housing. So what kind of housing do you have available? What kind of space do you have available? And what kind of housing would that look like? For example, really small pets like mice or rats or gerbils, they can oftentimes do well in a glass aquarium, for example, a large glass aquarium that has smooth sides and maybe a wire top. Some of the very small pets can do well in that type of enclosure, but some of the larger pets like rabbits and guinea pigs and ferrets, sometimes they do better with wire cages. As long as the wire cage has a smooth bottom, it is really important to have a smooth bottom so that their toes and their paws don't get caught in the wire. But you want to research each individual species, the type of enclosure that they need. Their diet is important, and all those things can kind of help you narrow down which one may be most appropriate for your family.
Your diet's obviously a big one. That's different. We can't just, can we just go to the grocery store and buy a bag of food for them as we do dogs or cats, or do we have to basically prepare fruit salad for them?
Well, it's a little of both. So there are some commercial diets that are species specific where you can go to a pet store and get pelleted food for rabbits or for guinea pigs. But you also want to make sure that the diet is balanced. And so oftentimes with small mammals, you may need to supplement their diet with fruits and vegetables. Particularly guinea pigs are unique because they need to have vitamin C added to their diet because they do not manufacture it themselves. And so it's important to make sure that you have some sort of added supplement for them. But oftentimes, really nutrient-rich veggies and fruits and other treats can be beneficial. So yes, a combination of commercially prepared food and fresh foods would be appropriate.
So would you recommend small mammals for a family with kids?
Yes, it can be wonderful first pet for kids. The important thing is, again, you do your research and you want to make sure that your children are prepared for handling a small pet. So one of the things that's important to note is that oftentimes small pets are a little bit skittish and nervous about handling, and sometimes children are also nervous about handling the pet. So you want to make sure that your children are prepared and we discuss with them how to properly handle the type of pet that you're going to get. Particularly gerbils are very small and their skeletons are very fragile. So rough handling can be dangerous for them. And some and bite when they get nervous. And so you want to make sure, again, that everyone's prepared and that you move slow and that it takes time to establish that trusting relationship. But it can be a wonderful first pet for a child to have a small mammal with some guidance.
And are we able, like, I know with kids, sometimes they don't want to do a cat because they're allergic to them. Can we be allergic to these type of fur too?
Yes, absolutely. It is still possible that if you are prone or your child is prone to allergies, that it is possible that they have an allergy to a small pet as well, a small mammal like a rabbit or a guinea pig. Their fur can trigger allergens. So if you're not sure, you may want to visit with a pet first to try to determine whether or not it's going to be appropriate for your child.
And you've mentioned different like types of room setup we can do for them. Can they live outside? I know we're kind of used to seeing cats and small mammals in an outdoor area, but can we just leave them outside, for all the elements?
Yes, it's better to have a small pet inside in a safe enclosure. You want to make sure that they're safe and we prevent exposure to predators and to extreme heat or extreme cold. Now, rabbits are a little different where rabbits can live successfully outdoors if you have a proper housing structure for them, like a rabbit hutch that not only protects them from the elements, the extreme temperatures, but prevents predators from getting in. So rabbits can sometimes live outdoors, but the smaller pets, guinea pigs, gerbils, rats, mice, hamsters, they are going to be your indoor small pets.
And do they still need to visit the vet as often?
Maybe not quite as often as a dog or a cat. Typically, we like our dogs and cats to go to the veterinarian every 6 to 12 months. They need vaccines, they need routine dental care, and they have illnesses that need to be monitored. Small pets can also develop illnesses. Typically, they are related to husbandry and diet. So as long as you are providing proper diet and you're taking care of husbandry, like cleaning their enclosure out on a regular basis and making sure that you're staying on top of routine maintenance, they usually don't have to go to the veterinarian very often unless they are sick. The most common things that you may need to consider taking your pet to the veterinarian for are things like teeth problems, because rodents have teeth that continuously grow throughout their life. So if they do not have regular opportunity to wear their teeth down with appropriate chewing, sometimes their teeth will overgrow and it may cause dental problems. This is something that you may need to take your pet to the veterinarian for to take a look at. But oftentimes, again, if you're providing the proper husbandry and diet, that may not be a problem. There are no routine vaccines for our small mammals, so you do not have to worry about getting vaccines for your gerbil or your hamster, but there are some vaccines that are available for ferrets, and there's one available for rabbits that will prevent some contagious disease. So talk to your family veterinarian about whether or not your small mammal needs vaccines. most of the time they do not.
So it's a much cheaper vet visit than
Yes,
our
much cheaper
annuals.
vet visit.
And so can they show the typical signs of illnesses like we do with cats and dogs, like diarrhea or upset stomach, or does it show different?
Yes, small mammals can have signs of illness and disease just like dogs and cats. So one common thing is respiratory disease. So they can get colds and they can get viruses and bacteria that cause nasal discharge and sneezing and ocular discharge. And they can even be on antibiotics to treat those conditions. They can get skin conditions like mites and ringworm. They can also get diarrhea. And so there's several different health issues that small pets can get. As they age, they can even get liver disease and develop tumors. So these are certainly things that you can research, be prepared for. And that way, if you're noticing anything that's abnormal with your pet, you can take them to your family veterinarian right away.
All right, and if we want to have, multiple bunnies, but we don't want to have, 20 of them in a house, can they be spayed or neutered too?
Great question. So can you spay or neuter your small pet? And yes, you can. So we routinely do spays and neuters on rabbits here at the Houston SPCA. And guinea pigs can also be neutered. It's not uncommon for these small mammals to be neutered. Not all of them, not all mammals, oftentimes the procedure is a little bit simpler and quicker and a little bit safer, but certainly rats, guinea pigs, and rabbits can be spayed and neutered. Even sugar gliders are neutered frequently.
And are there any diseases that can be transferred to us humans?
There's some skin diseases like ringworm that can be transferable, but in general, most of the diseases are species specific. So I would always encourage, though, if your children are handling your pet and your pet has an illness, that they make sure they wash their hands after handling the pet, just in case there's anything that could be transmitted. But in general, a lot of the diseases are species specific.
And if we have animals in a home, want to give them a break from the kennel or from the little cage, can they roam around the house, or what should we look out for?
Yes, letting your small pet roam around the house. So I think the most important thing is to make sure that you are doing it in a safe way. A lot of times, small pets like gerbils and hamsters and guinea pigs, they're really good at wiggling themselves into very tight spaces and getting lost, or potentially getting themselves into danger. So make sure that if you're letting them roam around the house, it might be a great idea to get a species-specific fitness ball, one of those little plastic balls that you can put your ferret in, or your gerbil, or your hamster in, and let them run and roll around the house. And that way they're very safe and they can't get into unsafe spaces in your home. The other thing is that some of these small can be destructive to your home. So chewing on carpet, furniture, and the baseboards in your home, and more significantly, electrical cords. These things can be very dangerous and can even be life-threatening. So you want to make sure that they don't have access to do those things. It will keep them safe, and it will prevent you from the angst of seeing your home being chewed up.
And if I already have a dog or a cat, should they meet at all, or would it be, would my dog have a instinct to kind of go after it?
Yes. It's natural, because dogs and cats are predators, and so it's natural for them to maybe have a desire to chase a small pet like a hamster or a gerbil or a rabbit or a guinea pig. And so you want to know your dog and cat really well, and you want to make sure that they are not the type of pet that may want to attack another small pet. One clue might be, if you're walking your dog and your dog is always going after the squirrels outside, maybe they would not be appropriate to leave unsupervised with your small pet. And so if you're doing that, I would say, again, make it as safe as possible for the small pet, because we also don't want them to be traumatized or feel the danger of being around a dog or a cat and have that fear.
Okay, if we're thinking about adopting, a small mammal, but we're still on the fence, how else can we help the Houston SPCA?
So, it's always important that in order for us to do our jobs and to do our jobs well, it takes a village, it takes a family, and it takes extended family. And you can always help us by becoming a foster. So when we get small mammals in, we always love to have fosters. We love to have people who are willing to take these pets in temporarily. It does give you an idea about what kind of pet you can handle and what kind of pet you may be able to adopt in the future. So consider becoming a foster, and we oftentimes have rabbits and guinea pigs and ferrets that may need fostering. So you can always help us. You can always be a part of our extended family and help us to achieve our mission in any way that you can, and fostering is one of those.
And if you're ready to adopt a small pet, where can we go and look?
Yes, please come on down. Please come on down to our adoption center. We're open every day from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can come right on into our small pets adoptable suite and spend some time with the rabbits here, spend some time with the guinea pigs, and really get to know them, because that bond, that initial bond, just like you have when you're adopting a dog or a cat, it exists with the small pets too. And you can pick one up and you can play with them, and immediately you will be able to determine whether or not this is going to be your pet for life. So we encourage you to come on down to our adoption center, spend some time with us. We'd love to have you. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us on today's Pet Podcast. We love to have you. We thank you for joining us every Friday, and we will see you next week.